Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's GTA 5 video, we're going to be comparing the brand new Widowmaker to the minigun. We're going to be seeing which one of these is better, and is there a supreme weapon in the heavy category for Grand Theft Auto Online. So in case you guys missed yesterday or the news that Rockstar put out, the Widowmaker and the Unholy Hellbringer, the two new alien-style weapons from this update, have been added into GTA Online officially, which is really cool. And a lot of people have been wondering, are these alien counterparts better than their normal bullet spraying variants that you can have in online already? And that's what we're going to be comparing in this video today. The Widowmaker, which is essentially the alien laser version of the minigun, which has been around since day one and has been in the GTA series forever. Since the 3D era and beyond. So let's start with our barrier to entry here, and that would be purchasing both of these weapons. So in order to do that, you have to go to the ammunition store, and if we actually start with the minigun, I already own the minigun, but if you don't, the minigun is going to be $50,000. So not all that expensive. You guys can see the description here is a devastating 6-barrel machine gun that features Gatling-style rotating barrels, very high rate of fire, 2,000 to 6,000 rounds per minute. Now, there's also a little bit of a quirk with the minigun, as you have to be rank 120 in order to buy this, which is no small feat. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys now that have been playing the game for multiple years are well over 120 that have taken advantage of double money and RP opportunities, but for someone that might have just started earlier this year or 2018 or 2017, they probably might not be at rank 120, which means the minigun would have been previously inaccessible to them. And you can also see some of the upgrades that you can apply to the weapon as well. Rounds are $150 for 100 of them, so that's how much it costs to fill that up. And you can see the tents there are black, army, green, orange, LSPD, pink, gold, and platinum. So those are all the upgrades that you can do to the minigun. There are no attachments that you can apply to this weapon, as I'm sure you guys know, since it's been around since day one. And of course, it is in the heavy category. It's also manufactured by Coil, if you're interested in that, the car company that produces the electric cars in game as well. So that right there is the minigun, $50,000, rank 120 in order to unlock. Now let's talk about the Widowmaker. So the Widowmaker is on the far right-hand side of the ammunition store wall, and it can actually be purchased for $499,000. So it's basically $500,000. Now the kicker with this one is you can be rank 1 and buy this weapon, which has a lot of people concerned because this is essentially the low rank version of the minigun now. I mean, if you're willing to pay that exorbitant price of $500,000, you can basically get yourself a minigun equivalent without being rank 120. So that's something that a lot of people are concerned about with this weapon, and that is one of the biggest differences right there in the rank unlock requirement, which is nothing for the Widowmaker, but 120 for the minigun. Again, a huge difference right there. Now, the description, which I think is pretty funny, is the Republican Space Ranger Special. Go ahead, say I'm compensating for something. I dare you. And just like the minigun, there are no attachments per se, just tents that you can change on the weapon. And it is also $150 per 100 rounds. So the ammo in order to refill is exactly the same. So now that we've purchased both of these weapons, let's start comparing them. Well, they're both in the heavy category, and for the most part, they have identical stats. Now, I don't know if there's any like hidden in-game stats that make these, weapons any different, but at least on the surface level, what you're going to see: damage, fire rate, accuracy, and range. The guns have identical stats. So that should clear up any confusion right there. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're both in the heavy category. So the first thing I wanted to test with these weapons is how long it takes in order to go from standing still to firing. and I didn't really notice a difference. Both of these weapons roughly take about a second if you're just standing still and not aiming down sights in order to sort of get the barrels charging, or whatever the Widowmaker's equivalent of barrels would be. So they don't fire instantaneously, but we know that. It's one of the only guns in the game that does that. So it looks like the minigun and the Widowmaker are on the exact same playing field there. They both take about a second in order to start firing. The next big difference between the Widowmaker and the minigun, between every other weapon in the game, is it's going to affect your running style. With this heavy weapon, you run much slower than with normal guns, and I wanted to see if you guys ended up running the exact same speed, and it looks like the answer is yes. There is no difference between the minigun or the Widowmaker. You both run in that exact same like slow walking style. So there's no difference right there. They both have an effect on your speed. So if we take a look at some of the cosmetics now, I think the Widowmaker is slightly more bulkier and bigger than the minigun. Now, I don't necessarily think this has an impact on anything, but to me, it just looks bigger. Like the minigun is a little bit more minimalistic. The Widowmaker definitely a lot bigger, in my opinion. Now, another thing the minigun does is it ejects shells when it actually fires. That's something that you do not see in the Widowmaker. You don't see the shells pop out. Although what's kind of odd is if you fire both of these weapons at either target or the ground, they're both going to leave bullet hole impacts, which to me is a little bit confusing because the Widowmaker is obviously lasers. So I don't understand why the Widowmaker has the same sort of bullet impact that the minigun has. To me, that's a little bit confusing. And this might just be me personally, but when the minigun fires, I feel like it leaves a bigger cloud of smoke, like when the bullets impact something. Maybe that just has something to do with like the sort of flame that emits from the barrel of the gun. But to me, that's sort of the vibe I'm getting, that the minigun, sort of puts out a little bit more of like a smoke screen when it fires than the Widowmaker does. That's just something I noticed. Maybe that is totally wrong, but from the couple of hours I've had the Widowmaker, that's kind of what I've noticed. A couple of more things cosmetically, even though they roughly have the exact same amount of customization, only being able to alter the tents, the Widowmaker has more customization options that it changes on the gun itself. Like, for example, those like lasers in the back, those will actually change depending on the color. They could be red, white, or yellow, depending on what tint you have. Also, the tubing on the side, that changes depending on what tint you've selected, whereas the minigun just sort of gets this random color of what you choose. There's nothing like special or unique on the weapon that stays the same or gets like a sort of different color. It's just all one and the same. So I'd say as far as customization goes, the Widowmaker is going to get a slight edge because it does get sort of more funkier colors, and it also gets the bonus of having multiple different things on the weapon that get colored. Now, the last thing I need to bring up in this video today, actually a similarity between these two weapons, is they both end up using the same type of rounds, minigun ammo. And the reason that's important is apparently there's a glitch that's going on where if you die using the Widowmaker, you lose all of your ammo for the rest of the weapons in the heavy category, or at least for the minigun and any of the other weapons in there. I have not noticed that I've been getting that glitch, but tons of people have, where if they die using the Widowmaker or the Unholy Hellbringer, they'll notice that if they pull up another weapon, they won't have any ammo, thus forcing them to go to the ammunition store and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on ammo for a weapon that they didn't actually use any ammunition for. So that is kind of weird, and I don't know why that's affecting the new alien-style weapons. I wish this is something I had a little bit more expertise in, but like I said, I haven't been able to replicate the glitch in my sessions. Probably a good thing. I probably didn't want to replicate them. But just keep that in mind that there are some glitches going around right now with the Widowmaker and the Unholy Hellbringer, which is sort of the LMG version of the alien weapon that was added too. So keep that in mind when using these guns. They could be a little bit buggy. So let's do a quick roundup here on which one of these weapons is better. Well, the answer is one really isn't better than the other. They're essentially the same weapon with just some cosmetic tweaks. Now, there are some bind differences that you need to pay attention to, and there's certainly some customization differences, but on the surface and as far as like damage and stuff like that goes, you're really looking at a 1-to-1 comparison right there. So I think the Widowmaker is a ton of fun, but if all you have is the minigun, don't feel like you're going to be outgunned by this Republican Space Ranger laser weapon. But anyways, that's all the information that I've got for you guys in this video today. That right there is a couple of the big differences between the minigun and the Widowmaker that you need to know about. Let me know in the comments down below, which one of these weapons do you like the most? Let me hear from you guys down there. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you like daily GTA and Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.